Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. We're so glad that you're here with us on the Visual Lounge. If you're new to the Visual Lounge and just tuning in for the first time, let me just do a quick overview of what we're all about. It's been a while since we've done that. My name's Matt Pierce. I'm the Learning and Video Ambassador for TechSmith. I've been with TechSmith for a long time, and we're here to help you make better images, videos, to learn all the things around making and using videos and images, whether you're doing it for training, learning, development, you're trying to just do better work inside your organization or outside of your organization. We're here to help, and we talk to a lot of experts who are really smart and have a lot of really good things to say. So if you're here, we're glad that you're here watching. Feel free to put questions in the chat if you're with us live. If you're watching the podcast and you're listening, you're saying, how do I do that? You can always email us at thevisuallounge@techsmith.com. We're happy to answer questions, get your feedback, do whatever it is. You know, if you're asking us for things or telling us things that you want us to know, it's a great way to reach out to us. Now, before we get to our guest today, and I'm super excited to talk to him. We were talking just before this, and he's got some fantastic stories and is really super knowledgeable about workplace productivity, and which I'm just excited about because it's something that I'm interested in as well. Hopefully you are too. I want to tell you about something that's upcoming here. Is we've got a really great opportunity for everybody here to get a good deal. You like good deals? If I can find my right button here. I thought I had it. Let's see if this works. Nope, that is not it. So that's not going to work. I'm all over the place here. I thought I had our advertisement here for, you know what? We're just gonna, I'm usually better prepared. I thought I had it all set up, but we'll get to the advertisement. There's a Cyber Monday deal coming up. I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, so let's just jump into today's show because why wait any longer? All right, Dr. Thomas Rodell. Did I say that right, Tom?
Yeah, as good as you can say. Rudel.
Yeah,
If you want to make it proper.
Thomas Rodell, also known as Tom Solid, is founder and CEO of the Paperless movement. For the last
Tom Solid, much easier.
Much easier. For the last 16 years, Tom worked in the big industries and academic institutions, solving the exact same productivity problems that so many others are experiencing right now when they try to leverage the digital world. Most feel busy updating systems and overwhelmed finding information, but not productive at all. During his time working in corporate, Tom helped increase productivity on multiple teams in various industries as much as 60% throughout the implementation of effective project management tools and, more importantly, digital work conventions. Tom's experiences led to create the I-Core framework, which is at the core of the Paperless movement, and the framework that he coaches inside the Paperless movement membership. With that said, it's a mouthful for me, but we're so glad to have Tom Solid on the Visual Lounge. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, everybody. Good to be on the show. Thank you very much, Matt, for the invite.
Yeah, we're glad that you're here. I've spent quite a bit of time over the last couple of weeks watching your videos, trying to get to know you a little bit through the world of the wide web that it is. So let's start broad here. For our audience, I'm sure many of them have not had a chance to hear of you or the work that you do. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about the Paperless movement, what that's all about.
Sure. Where shall I start? So it's a long journey, actually. 2017, it was really the time when I first got the first iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil. And I was able to test this on a conference. This being said, at this time I was working in big industry as a business analyst in a team and was overwhelmed with paper notebooks and didn't know how to organize my notes. So I thought this is the time to do this and got the iPad Pro and made a video on my already existing YouTube channel, which was back then about music production tutorials, and uploaded a video about what tools I use with my iPad Pro, handwriting, note-taking apps, good notes. People who know iPad know these tools as well. And yeah, there was interest there of many of you out there who are still with me, but from the very video onwards. And I really got excited because I was able to share my passion then. Because in my real life, in my day job, I was trying to struggle myself through this digital world as well, which was not a thing. Even in the big industry I was working in, I expected a lot more proper set up project management tools. So I came from academics, I made a PhD, went into industry, and I thought, now this is it. But yeah, it is not there. And switching from a paper notebook to an iPad doesn't solve anything. So it just gets worse, because on a paper notebook, you have some methods to be productive, and that you have to choose from, and forms how to be productive. But in the end of the day, you have a paper notebook or maybe a planner or something like that. You go into the digital world, then you have to decide from the methods, but also from the tools. And this really becomes a challenge then. And then you start switching tools and scattering information on different systems. And this is the downward spiral I was in as well. And yeah, by setting conventions and building up my own ticketing system on SharePoint basis and things like that, I was able to implement KPIs. And for people who don't know, KPIs, key performance indicators. So I was actually to show the numbers that in productivity increased in our team. And by implementing this system and laying down conventions, responsibilities, we were able to increase the team performance by 60%. And well, this was pretty successful. So I was in other teams. I became a team leader myself in IT, where I implemented Asana for 800 people there. And as a side hustle, I grew the Paperless movement and the YouTube channel and the Paperless movement membership. I had a lot of one-on-one coaching calls with my members there. And this is where the final solution, in my point of view, is the ICORE framework that I came up with, which is the outcome from the calls that I had there. ICORE stands for Input, Control, Output, Refine, and it defines the productivity system end to end. So my idea behind this is that it is a tool agnostic approach. So the real issue I always see, people say, "What's the best note taking app on Twitter?" And people answer Notion or Evernote or whatever. And I don't like these answers because there is no context to this answer. And every person is different and has different needs, and teams are different, and what other tools they are working with that needs to work together and things like this. This is what we talk about in the paperless movement, the very basics. What is a priority? What tools work good with each other? So we have a lot of team managers, upper management people, CEOs in the paperless movement who have the same struggles. And this is where we go into ICORE, and then we understand what we actually need, and then we will find the right tool that fits this need, and then we go from there. So I'm really worried about a lot of courses, or Notion is a good example. So there are so many templates out there, and downloading a template can be very overwhelming if you don't understand the basics of the tool and how it functions. So this is where the paperless movement is here, that we teach people. That's the vision behind this, that we help the mission. We help every struggling paperless pioneer to actually start leveraging the digital world instead of just consuming it. And that's not just copy pasting a paper notebook into the digital world, but also showing what else we can do in the digital world. What so many people still don't realize, there's so much more how to become more efficient than just taking notes with an Apple Pencil. I can keep talking, so you have to interrupt me. This
Yeah,
is just me.
you've got a whole
sitting
channel.
making videos, talking to myself. So
I love it, and as someone, so I'm gonna just be really honest with you. I've had the paper notebooks. I've done Notion.
Yeah.
I've done Notability. I've done Apple Note, and I've got like things all over. So I love what I've been learning about your system, and I think it's really fantastic. And somebody's probably watching this or listening to this saying like, well, what the Visual Lounge? What does productivity have to do with visuals? And that's what I want to talk to you about and shift gears a little bit, because you obviously have these systems and there's lots of information. If anyone wants to go learn about Tom's system, there's ways to do that. We don't need to spill all the secrets here. But I'm curious for you, because I happen to know that you've made a video about Snagit. I actually watched the one that you made in December 2020, and really great job making that video. But aside from Snagit, what role do images? Let's start with images first. What role do images have in productivity in your mind? Because I think I get like Apple Notes. Like taking notes, even whether it's paper or not, like taking notes makes sense to keep track of things and ideas. Obviously having systems to put things, organize things makes sense. But for you, what's the role or the value of having visuals, whether screenshots or otherwise?
Yeah. Um, so going back into big industry, I was working in a highly complex area. So I was working in pharma industry, a lot of compliance there, and a lot of rules that you have to follow. And I started as a validation expert, so I was responsible for the processes, filling the drugs and things like that. And there are a lot of SOPs, so standard operating procedures. And there were 40, 50 pages long, and we had hundreds of them to learn. And it is always, and you agree that you read and understood all these SOPs. And I said, there must be a simpler way. Everything needs to be simplified in order to really ensure that people read and understand this stuff. And this is when I came up with, and this is already 6 years ago, where I came up with that we should use videos rather than text explaining the stuff. And eventually it was allowed to actually create videos which can replace written text. Really excited about this. So this is one thing. I was always visual driven. I always, if you watch my channel, I talk a lot about Miro as well, which is a whiteboarding tool, but I use it as for mind mapping, and I call it creative research. So I need a place where I can really throw in everything and then connect the dots with each other. So I have the visual way to see at it. And again, Snagit comes in play. So I make a screenshot, I drag and drop it out directly into Miro. And this is a flow. I don't want to have friction at any point when I'm researching and then switching tools and then try to paste it in. This is just draining energy. And there again, you can drag in even video snippets into the mind map. So I have a connection of everything and also short explanation. So this is one part of my personal knowledge management or creative research, as I said. The other thing is really when I'm talking to my team in the paperless movement now. So I'm 100% working in the paperless movement as the founder and CEO and having our own team. So I'm no longer in the industry. I'm now coaching people in the industry. Happy to do that. And we are using Slack for communication. And there again, when I want to explain something, I rather do a quick video recording or screen recording and share it with the person in Slack. An advantage now with Slack, I just published a video about this on my channel as well, that Slack is transcribing the video, so it becomes searchable. And this was always another friction point, or actually hindering me, that I rather wrote it down as a text message, so it became searchable for later on, rather than sending a video or an audio message. Now we can do this and becomes even searchable for later on. And I think this is awesome. So Snagit was from the very beginning. There was one of the tools that was available in a job I was working as well, until to date, always on the way with me. And yeah, so these are the main points for using videos to me.
Yeah,
And
well, I
images.
love that, and I did not know that Slack would you said transcribe the video, which is
Yeah,
fantastic because you're right. Videos are great, but if you can't find that video ever again, makes it very difficult.
yeah,
Let's talk about that friction. Can we talk a little bit about the friction you mentioned? That when you're switching
yeah,
tools or tools don't work together well, it seems like when there can be friction with just images as well, right? Like using images can feel kind of heavy and weighted. So, and even maybe even context of visuals, right? Like if you grab a screenshot, for instance, and it's like you're not sure where it came from, what the surrounding context is. So how do you think about when you're grabbing images? Are you just kind of grabbing whatever and putting it in because you'll make sense to you, or are there thoughts around what you grab and how you go about maybe processing the image? Are you adding other things to it, annotations, or doing other things so it makes more sense in context of whether it's your knowledge whiteboard or you're sharing it with a coworker?
Yeah, I come back to the ICOR framework here. So in the input part, we are not talking about tools. We are talking about the type of information that we collect into our system. And the control part is then how to manage the information that we collected. So when I think about taking screenshots, that's actually input actions that I do there. As soon I bring it somewhere else, and then it really depends on what type of information I collected there. So or that I want to share. So as you already mentioned, I might have something where I have a three-step thing. So I make a screenshot and say, first go here, then go here, then go here. If this is a very simple explanation, I rather make a screenshot and describe it this way, which is easily done in Snagit, um, rather than doing a video recording. And the other thing is what I really like is the paramat the par- now I lost
Panoramic?
the word. That's a
Par
German in me now.
No, that's
He's
great.
blocking
No,
me speaking English.
no, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
okay.
It's panoramic. It's yes,
Panoramic, yeah, the
yeah,
panoramic
for sure.
view or the panoramic screenshotting that you can
Hmm.
do. So you can actually scroll down websites and then you have a long form image, everything stick together. And this is another advantage that I like. So I can make a picture from the whole website and put it into my mind map and then make annotations on there. um, yeah, it really depends on. And I just something I want to add to the videos. When I actually reach out to customer service for some tools, or if I have any issues, I do a quick video recording, and I use either Loom for that, or I use if I want to have any reactions to this, or I use Snagit for the recordings, because we can use what is it called, screencast, yeah, the
Yep.
platform where we can upload this. So and I'm just sharing the link with the support, and everything becomes just more efficient, just sharing the link, and I say, hey, watch the video, you see exactly what my issue is, and then come back to me. Instead of I'm writing this paragraph, they sending back, I did not get this one, can you explain this more? And we all know this back and forth in the emails. So yeah, this is another way I leverage this screen recordings. Oh, and one more way I'm using it actually for my YouTube videos and also courses. So when I need to record anything, like a quick explanation that I forgot to record in a screen recording, I will just start Snagit, record it, and the thing that I like is that it opens up an editor, and I just need to drag and drop it into my video editor. It already is in the right format, and this is really, yeah, there's no friction in this way. Instead of going into the Finder, opening the folder, finding the file, and then even convert it into a proper file, things like this. This is really the point where I always come back to Snagit, and that also I have the history. It sounds really like that I'm bought here and that you pay me for that.
No, no,
But
no, no.
if you watch the video about Snagit, I talked about this as well. So I'm really leveraging the advantages there. Um,
Well, let me
yeah,
ask
and
you.
there's no other
Let's
tool for
shift
me for
gears.
this.
Tom, let's shift
Yeah,
gears a little bit because I don't want you to feel like you're just pitching Snagit. We're appreciative of you talking about it.
yeah,
That's never our
yeah.
goal here, is to get people to talk about product. What I'm curious about. So let's say I'm working for a company and I come to you, and I just want to get more effective in my. I want to increase my product. Like I'm guessing people come to you for coaching for increasing their productivity. They may have no system. They may have some system. They maybe think they have a really great system, and you were to give someone advice about again, I'm not asking about necessarily about screenshots, but just in general, what advice could you give someone about like when to use visuals? And you talked about kind of that creative gathering of ideas. Are there other times you're like you mentioned a few things like video for your team, like to help explain things. But are there other things that you find like, gosh, video or images both just make so much sense to cut down? Maybe it's reducing friction, maybe it's just improving clarity and understanding, or some other purpose. And it doesn't have to be screenshots. And I don't know what kind of other imagery you use. I used to be a sketch noter, so when I would draw in my
Mm.
notebook, I'd draw little images icons to give me ideas and reminder me of what it was. But so
Yeah.
any advice around that front?
Yeah, so video and images is involved in everything we do in the paperless movement, and that I do. And the iCore coaching heavily involves finding a single source of truth. So everything that we do should have a purpose and a defined place where we put it to. Otherwise, we build up friction in our brain again. We don't. It was actually my own experience sitting in a meeting to a point where I stopped taking notes at all because I knew when I write it down in some notebook that I had there, I won't find it later on anyway. Until I came up with, okay, I have to find a system where I really place it. And then I realized, okay, there's different type of information that needs to be placed differently. And all this is now the golden thread through everything that I decide to do. So getting back to your question now, when I have a first call with a team member and I'm explaining something that I do and this team member should do from now on, it is recorded. Okay. I show it already once. So I know already from experience how many times we actually show people for the 10th time the same thing. But I always wonder why people don't come up with the idea themselves, that they just write it down somewhere or place it somewhere. So all this is involved in the overall onboarding process. I show it, it will be recorded, and then actually I make the team member writing a summary SOP themselves for themselves out of this video recording. And this gives me again the confirmation that this person understood what I actually explained there. If not, then I need to explain it. If I need to go back and explain it again, we always try that it is a video recording. We just, 1 hour video recording, nobody will watch this again. So I try to cut it down, and we have awesome tools now. For example, Descript. Okay. I do use Descript a lot. For people who don't know this, you can upload your video into this program. It's available on the cloud, but also on your computer. It will transcribe your video, and then you have the text, the transcript of your video next to the video. You can actually delete sentences or words, and it will cut your video into pieces at the same time. So when you delete one sentence, it will cut out this part of the video as well. And this is just highly efficient when you have a 1 hour interview and you want to have some snippets for social media sharing or something like that. You just select this paragraph and say, okay, make a snippet out of this.
Right.
But you are working inside text instead of going through the video, listening to everything. This is all the things where I think, try to, the KISS principle, maybe some of you know this, keep it.
It looks
Really
like
try to be as minimalistic as possible in everything.
I think you might have froze for just a second. You were in the middle of saying the KISS Chris. I can't speak now either, and I have no excuse.
See, you're
KISS.
German as well, it seems.
Today I am. KISS. Keep it simple, stupid is the acronym.
Yeah.
So I love that. So can I share with you? So I don't know if you've seen this, but we have some data. We actually we did some research. We asked some data scientists and some other really smart people to run some research on the value of visuals. And I know you haven't seen this, and I'm sometimes hesitant to share things, and I don't want to catch you off guard. But there's a whole report, and anyone who wants to go get this, I will drop it. I'll give it to Jessie so she's got it. But so the idea is looking at the value of visuals. So the things you're kind of talking about right here, the visuals are in everything. This is what it looks like. One of the things that the researchers did that I'm not smart enough to do is they looked across kind of GDP and kind of the impact it could have. And so it's what you're saying about productivity is speaking to me in this. And I thought about this is the potential visual communications productivity boost. And people, everyone watching, listening will have to go through and read what that means, because I'm not, again, probably going to be able to have time to describe it all. But basically, if people use more visuals, and Tom, just your gut feel, does this seem accurate that basically per worker savings based on average annual hours and GDP per hour in geography? So the average US worker in companies of I think they said about 500 in size would save per worker is they'd save about $1,700 in the DACH region. So Germany, Austria, Switzerland is about 1,300. I just thought this was really interesting based on what you're talking about. It's just if we can be more productive, that has real, tangible outcomes. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts? Does that seem right to you? That it's kind of that big of a difference? I mean, you talked about that your experiences early on with, or I just didn't say early on, but when you were working through Asana and seeing that productivity boost. How do you have you seen that real world consequence for the organizations you've done work for in terms of like saving them actual money?
Oh yeah, saving them actual money. And yeah, I did this. As I said, you can imagine saving a 5-head team, 60% team performance increase. This was big, but my goal wasn't to give them more productivity, but free up time because we were all overworked. The real issue is that I saw, in many places, not only where I work, but also for my clients, as soon as time frees up, managers tend to fill it up with new stuff.
Yes.
So the team becomes more efficient. And instead of celebrating that they do this and they can have Friday off, for example, it will be filled up again. So this means they produce more and more and more and more, and it becomes even more overwhelming. So the tendency is then that people become, slower, and they say, okay, maybe I go to the toilet again, maybe I go to the coffee. Um, and this is a bad behavior. So I wrote a productivity guide, which is called, that's for my members, busy versus productive. And this is exactly the thing. We have this attitude that we always need to look busy the whole day. Otherwise, if somebody asks you, how are you? And you don't say, oh, I'm so busy again, then you are not working. And this is
Right.
really the bad attitude. So when I work in my team, when I say, can you do this in 4 hours? And this person does it in 1 hour, I don't care what he does with the 3 rest hours. Okay. So I would say, and I'm the same. Um, this is intelligent and very efficient doing this. If I expect it in 4 hours and this person does it in 1 hour, why should I fill up the rest 3 hours now? This goes the wrong direction. And I always like the principle for Google, where they have in their contract, as far I know, that you have a 80% work day, and the rest of the 20% you can do your own project inside a company using the company's resources. And actually, Gmail was created out of one of these 20%. And this is really the way I think where people have fun working again. And Corona, I think, where when COVID hit and people went home, um, in my team, actually, team efficiency never dropped because we had already all the digital systems in place. When I came home, it was just running the same way. But I think a lot of more people realized now with the digital systems and being at home that it takes away a lot of tension and pretending to do something the whole day, if it is not really necessary. I don't know if I explained it the right way. Matt, you have to give me some
Yeah. No,
uh,
that's no, it's
clue
making sense.
here.
I think everyone's going to want to work for you, Tom, if you're like saying we set
Yeah,
this amount of time.
I pay you 4 hours. You only have to work for one. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, of course. The reason why I say that's the other issue on the other end, that we did the project planning, that we have these Gantt charts and 2-year planning and all this, and this is where Agile and Scrum comes into play. Then that we don't know how long things take, even if we have our own tasks. This is really a question. When I set down due dates in my to-do list, am I really sure that I need 1 hour for this? It's usually the thing that I sit 2 hours on one thing that I expected for 1 hour. Another thing is done in 10 minutes. And as long as it is not a recurring task, I will never be able to optimize this. So when I say you can have 4 hours because this is my gut feeling and it takes 1 hour, okay. If it is a recurring task and we realize, okay, it doesn't take that long, we shorten this down, but
right.
not to a point where it increases pressure. So you should always have a buffer on this end. And this is why projects, typical project management always fails. Nobody can tell me this. I saw so many project managers sitting in the room, the door is closed, saying, "Oh my God, no budget, no time, we will never hit the goals." The door opens and so, yeah, of course we will do it, we will do it. Then they end the project, everybody does high five, and who finished the project 2 years later? Operations. So this is, yeah, just what I see in so many industries. So that's not only my experience. That's
Yeah.
what we tackle with. And just to close the loop here, and comes back to conventions and also for how to create videos, how to make screenshots, and all this project management, the task management in general. If there's no priority, what actually a priority is set. For example, what does urgent mean, or what does high mean, priority high? Then it will never work this out, because people will always finger point, people will always find way to find excuses. And if in a project, that's something also I saw so many times, and this is what we talk in the iCore framework as well, in our iCore program. One thing is priorities. So in the paperless movement, for example, we have a conventions SOP where we say urgent means business is interrupted. So if we don't fix this right now, like the website is down, we will lose money, we will anger our members and all this. So we have to stop everything else and do this now. If we have high priorities, this is aligned with our goals that we have set. And normal priorities is something that you can fill up whenever you finish the high priority task. There's nothing else. Then you go to the normal priority task, which usually are optimizations and things that we should do. And then we have the low priority, and this is then just ideas, or someday maybe, that we review over time and see if it increases in priority. That's just a simple way how we do prioritization. But in my real life, in my day job, this just was saving our. I was team leader of 2 teams before I left the company, and it was great. At the point when I left the company, everything was working smooth, so I thought it was a good point to leave then. So,
For sure.
but I thought this needs to be what I achieved there. I really want to see this more. We have so many productivity tools, and people keep searching for the right tool to solve the problems. But then they get this. They have a salesperson from Asana or from Trello or from whoever, and they make a good sale there for a big company, and then they implement the tool. And then the boss comes in and says, "Okay, we are using Trello now." And nobody many people don't know how to use it, and the boss doesn't know it. Salesperson is gone, and then they have to struggle through it. And it always comes back. Nobody thought about what is a priority, what are due dates actually. Is it a due date or is it a due date? So we have to do it on this day, things like this. And responsibilities, working in projects. I always saw it. This person is responsible for this, and this person, I said, this is already the wrong road. You have to define departments, you have to define functions, who is responsible for this. What if this person leaves tomorrow? Then we have to fill the function, not the person. And yeah, I could go on and on like this, but it's the same for videos and screenshots. It's the same thing. If you show people that we can be much more efficient making a screenshot, but also defining where to place this, the single source of truth, we become more efficient. And maybe one last anecdote.
Please.
The meeting. Okay, good. Meeting behavior. Okay, I was sitting in so many meetings, and most of the meetings are just redundant. And the issue I saw there, until I started blocking my time and saying, sorry, if you don't have even an agenda, I don't even attend this meeting. You have to be brave to do this, I tell you that. But it works. And what I realized there, especially in big corporate, you sit in this meeting, and the bigger the company, maybe there's even one person taking notes during the meeting, so the experts can talk. So a person who is not the expert will actually do the notes. And then you leave the meeting, then you will be sent a meeting minutes via email, which obviously gets dumped into the archive because you just had the meeting. Why should I read this again? And then 2 weeks later, you have exactly the same meeting talking about the same thing again because everybody forgot that this was already discussed. And this is where I think if a single source of truth is defined, then it's just taking away all this back and forth. So how I see this, one, I'm not saying it's a single source of truth, only one. It can be for different things. So, for example, project management, there's a single source of truth where the project is managed or tracked in. So when I have a meeting and we're talking about a specific task in corporate or it doesn't matter what, then we open up this tool where we have the project tracked in, and we open up the task, and whatever is discussed gets into the comment section there, and and we write it down. Then we have a next meeting, we take it down again. Whenever a person leaves this group or the project group, another person comes in, just opens this task and sees the history of everything that was discussed. So there's no training on the job and things like this needed. He can just go in there and go exactly through this what was already discussed. And yeah, just by implementing such simple behavior changes, this is 60% performance improvement is easily done in such cases. Yeah.
Well, I'm already thinking about the things that I can do differently, which is good. That means I'm learning something today, which I love. I mean, just even the thought that like if you've got a project, because we're Asana users at TechSmith, and we've got projects and we've got project cards, and the notes don't usually end up in there. They end up in like a Google Doc or SharePoint. I mean, even there we've got two. So I'm loving this idea, and I'm loving that you could capture things as ideas are coming in with visuals and things like that. So one thing I want to ask, I want to shift gears just a little bit because you've been very successful on YouTube, and I want to acknowledge that to have I think you're 61,000 subscribers or so and growing, which is amazing. You started for even starting a couple years ago. Can we talk a little bit about your video process? And I don't necessarily care about the tools. I'm interested, like you have an idea. And like, what does it look like for you to build one of these videos in terms of kind of the ideation to like, do you script? Do you not script? How do you get from start point to delivering it to your audience on say YouTube or in your membership? Do you have a kind of a pattern that I'm assuming as a productivity guy and you've got patterns to eliminate efficiencies, but what does that look like for you?
Yeah. It started with one video, but then I took it very serious within a few months, and then I founded the Paperless movement in 2018. And from there, this is what you see now. And I grew this channel as a side hustle and the whole business around it. And this is only possible if the systems are in place. So I only had one freelancer helping me with copywriting, which is just that I wrote the German or the German English there, and I had a native speaker to actually improve the text there, because I always from day one I wanted to provide highest quality. So this is what I always have in mind. I'm always reaching to the next level. And when it comes to video recording and all this, I'm a creative person. So whenever I have an idea, I need to instantly be able to create a video out of this or do it just right away. And therefore, everything had to be set in place. So I had my table where, like now here, so this is the new studio, but in the old one, I had this already. So there was a table, I had an overhead camera, which is going down, and I have one like this. So I invested money into two cameras just to take away the friction, to take down the camera, put it there, change the settings and all this. This way I was recording both, and I learned multicam recording so I can easily switch between the things. Started the most efficient way was then when I started using OBS and live streaming, but I was actually recording all the stuff, so I was able to even run the lower thirds and the intro and all this, something like you did here now as well in the Ecamm. But then the quality lagged because this was no longer, it was connected with the computer. That's going into too much technical detail here. But then it comes to the programs again. So you said not talking about the tools, but this is very essential. So I was using Adobe Premiere to make the videos back then. And I started more and more going to Apple. I was a Windows user for a long time. Then I switched to Apple. Then I realized, oh my God, I can even edit videos on a MacBook Air. That's insane. So I switched to Final Cut Pro, and I really found the flow in there. But it's a very personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there again, I started getting a Stream Deck and programming shortcuts for the video editor in here. So instead of reaching out, looking at my keyboard and making 3 keys, I had one key here that I pressed, and I instantly boosted the video editing process. So this was growing. And last year, I was actually growing my team up to 7 people, where I thought, okay, I can now outsource all this, and I want to be more for the coaching and be more available for the community. But I realized the quality dropped. So I had a video editor, and I think they were really good people, but I am not a professional video editor, but I always had a feeling that I can deliver more. So I didn't blame the video editor. It was that the processes weren't in place. So I didn't define what I actually need to have, what quality standards do I want to have, what video codec do we need use, and so on. But I was in the process by quitting my job, moving houses, building actually a new house, what we still do, building the new studio, and then managing all the people. So this is the reason why I reduced the team size again. Did now that I'm doing this 100%, do all the videos on my own again from start to finish, and now very carefully optimizing these processes. And so I'm very clear whenever I reach out again and say I'm looking for a video editor, that I know exactly what this person needs to do and what this person needs to do more. Obviously, there are experts out there who can do much more better job than me, but then I know what it is actually that I want this person to be better, and I'm happy to pay them, because this is then an easy calculation. I count myself an hourly rate, and if I say, okay, if I save 8 hours by, when I do a long form video or something like that, and somebody else can do this, this is easy calculations to say, okay, this is at least the budget that I can pay a video editor outsourcing this, and it frees up my time to be more working on the business instead of inside the business. Yeah. Does this answer anything that you asked for? Yeah, the efficiency in the videos. And this is now the thing. I'm just finished this. I get an idea. I sit like ClickUp. They just announced that they have now awesome new things and so on, and a whiteboard. So instantly I was able to sit down, click record. Everything is recorded. Within 15 minutes, I had a video live. And this was not a thing a year ago. So I'm really at the point where it becomes really hard for a video editor coming in, matching the efficiency in video editation with the same quality standards. But yeah, once you define this, you can also teach others doing the same thing for you.
That's
Does that
awesome.
make sense?
Yeah, let me follow up with that. So we'll take that ClickUp video that you did. I think if it's the newest one on your channel, I watched that as well. Just again, trying to get to know you a little bit. When you sat down to like, okay, there's this new thing. There's some advantage if you can be the first to talk about it or early person to talk about it. Did you write an outline? Did you have kind of do you have key things that you know, like, okay, I'm going to say these things? Or are you at the point in your career and your knowledge that you just like, you can just talk about it? I think I have certain things I can talk about. There's other things I better have a script, right? So I'm just curious, kind of in that part of the process, you've seen this thing, you're going to be making a video about it. How do you make sure you're saying the right things through that process?
Yeah, good question. I had a teleprompter as well, and was having scripts for specific videos. And I think I did a good job that it still sounded natural. But when it comes to fun, and I wanted to have fun again doing these videos and being spontaneous, and if you go to my old videos, there was a lot of things. A fly landed on my head, and things like this. You can't script this, and I wanted to get back to this, and I think I have a lot to say. So if you ask me something, you realize already I can talk for an hour about whatever it is. So this is when ClickUp or anything else that I'm already in there, I share my opinion. I don't say this is the only truth. And this is really hard on YouTube. You see a lot of productivity channels. They have a lot of knowledge to share and how things work, but it is out of the books. And I'm coming from industry, so I'm not trying to tell students how to be more productive. I'm, I attracting already the people who realize, oh my God, I know exactly what he's talking about. So I talk about this, and I talked about this in corporate, and I know this is edgy, if you like, and maybe, as I said, brave being like this in corporate. But it's so important to be like this because, in the end of the day, I was always true to myself. And this way, I was always able to grow and climb up the ladder because you are authentic. And I realized when I used scripts, they are even optimized by a copywriter or something like that. This is no longer me. And if people go into the comments and say, "Oh my God, stop speaking English, my ears are bleeding," usually these are Germans saying that, by the way. Um, then I have to ignore them because I want to stay true to myself. And if I lose this was the decision when I said I go 100% paperless movement, then it will be 100% me. So this is why I do rarely scripts. So I have long form videos where I talk about the KISS principle, for example, where I really want to nail down certain things. So I say them right. Um, but this is very time consuming. And in the end of the day, when you look at the traction on YouTube or the traffic, then it's not as, it's not engaging enough. That's how so I or another perspective on this, I rather record now 1 hour me talking and cut it down to 10 minutes because the cutting process is so efficient now. Then because this was the first advantage, having a script. This is really great. You read this script down, 3 minutes later the video is finished. You might have repeated one part and then you cut this out, done. Having something spontaneous and talking free flow, then you have a lot of jump cuts to do there. Yeah, but right now I have fun doing these edits, and usually during the video editing process, I realize, oh my God, this is fun, and now we could just move the parts. And so it is,
Yeah.
yeah, it depends on the personality, what you like to do. I know there are different terms like the creative and the integrator, or the visionary and the integrator. So if you're an integrator and like things like this, then probably it's more straightforward having a script. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably you don't ask me anything else because you
No, no, no. I
want
actually
stuff.
love it. It reminds me, you talked about the fun, and I think sometimes, a lot of the TechSmith audience is corporate, individuals working in corporations or businesses or nonprofits. They're doing business type work. And I watched your Apple Notes for iOS 15, and I think there was a lot of T words, I believe, in there that you just kind of struggled with your,
Yeah, this is really the thing. I mean,
but it was great
this
because
is a good.
I can relate
That's
to
a good
it.
example. That's a very good example. I get complaints in the comments below. They say in the title you say it's Apple Notes, but you keep saying Evernote. Why do you talk about Evernote instead of Apple Notes? Which is, and I said, okay, even if it sounds like this, but I show Apple Notes. It's in the title. Why do people even? Okay, so I really do my best to say Apple, even Apple Pencil. Why did I choose Apple? I mean, God, the only thing that I can pronounce right, and I choose this. But they say it's Epi Pencil that I always say. So yeah, it's fun. You have to, don't take it too serious. I even thought getting a T-shirt which says Epi Pencil,
I
whatever.
love it. I love it. Well, I love the
Yeah.
humanity of it. Like it's very real, and I think that's a very important piece. Well, Tom,
This is,
we're
sorry to interrupt you,
no,
but
please.
this is the very important thing. And I also say this to my members, and I want to make that this comes across properly. I'm in the same boat, and we are all in the same boat on the digital journey here. It is very young still what we can do in the digital world, and so less people still understand. The difference maybe is that I'm maybe further down the road, and others in our membership are already more experienced. But when we work together and we can share this experience with each other, we can just grow very quickly. Don't think that you have no idea what to do and everybody is so experienced, so productive. Usually it's only pretending. I never met anybody, me included, who is highly productive. And the journey will never end. It's called continuous improvement after all.
Well, I love it. Well, we're going to wrap up here soon, but before we do that, we do something here on the Visual Lounge called our speed round questions. So these are meant to be fast, short answers. So let's jump into that right now. Okay, Tom. First
funny.
First speed round question for you. What's the thing you're still working on that you wish it was more efficient, effective, that you haven't gotten to optimize yet?
Yeah, my overall productivity system. So we talked about iCore, and the R in iCore is refine. So I came to the point where I say, get started. Set up your productivity system and just use it. And then you realize where are your bottlenecks and your friction points, and then refine. And I'm still in this process. So I'm trying to connect everything together. But I'm not happy about this. I would be happy if something like ClickUp would be the all-in-one solution, but usually something is missing, then you have to use something else. And then I try to find something that fits into my system. Never do the thing that I did as well, and I know many others do, switching tools too quickly, and then you destroy everything and you start from scratch. So this is just where I think I realize now what my system is, on what the bottlenecks are, and then very rarely start switching tools or functionalities. And one last advice here in this regard is that I developed for this a sandbox mode in my brain where I say, okay, now I'm allowed to use a new tool. Maybe you have a project like me building a new house. This is separate from the business. So I use, for example, Craft because I wanted to test it out. And I do this one project which has a start and end in this tool and see how it works and if I could switch things.
Well, I love that. And it might answer our next question in speed round is, obviously there's a lot of people trying to figure out what their system is and it's going to work for them.
Yeah.
So what's one thing we could do that would have the biggest difference on our effectiveness / productivity?
Sitting down, try to write down a flowchart of your actual work that you need to do. You can do this on paper. You can just think about not the tools, not the technology. What is it actually that you do day in, day out? And if you have a recurring task or anything that you do on a daily basis, start with this, write it down, and then you see visually in a complete different way what it is that you want to solve there. And from this point, you can go then and find the right tool that fits your workflow here best. And we are here to help you to find the right tools. We are building databases where we can actually ask these questions. I'm in this situation. What tool works best? But always start with the basics. Don't think about the tool and don't listen to the salesperson.
Perfect. I love that. So when you mentioned you're a creative person and you like doing creative projects, where do you turn for your inspiration? Where are you looking? What's helping you to feed that creativity?
Well, actually, I have to do things to shut down my brain. So I'm a gamer as well. When the evening starts, I need to do something where I don't have to think so much, because this is a curse as well, having so many ideas, and then you try to follow each of them and you never get anything done. So yeah, focus is not a strong part for a creative person, I would say. So what was the question again? See,
where do you go for inspiration? Like what?
Where I go? Yeah. While I was saying that, I already had 10 new ideas. Yeah.
But I
makes
love that
it also
idea.
hard on YouTube. That makes it also hard on YouTube. So I would have a lot more subscribers if I would just stick to handwriting note-taking apps and doing this over and over and over again. The algorithm would love me, but I get bored so very quickly. So I need to test new things and talk about this. And this is where we just stick there.
Yeah.
to this.
Well, I can appreciate that because we cover a lot of topics here on the Visual Lounge as well. All right, last question for you, and I'll just warn you. Everyone tells us this is our hardest question because they never expect it. The last question is there any question you'd like to ask me? We've spent a long time chatting about you and your background, and is there anything you'd like to know from me or TechSmith?
Yeah, I saw that you for ages at TechSmith. Smith. Never thought to change jobs.
Never. Wait, that's an option?
It's an option. And now I can tell you, no, there's no option for other tools like Snagit and Camtasia.
That's right. That's right.
Joking.
You know, it's interesting. If you would have asked me, like when I started at TechSmith, like, are you going to be here a long time? I probably would have said, no, because I'm like everybody else around my age, going to move jobs, different things. And although I've done a lot of different jobs at TechSmith, like, I've created tutorials, I've been a manager of training teams, I've been a manager in marketing and social media and video, and then I've done, so it's a lot like, even though it's the same company, I've done a lot of different things, and that's been really empowering in staying. And let's be honest, it's not like I haven't ever had that thought cross my mind, but I also love what I do. And I'm very fortunate to work for a company that has great tools and that allows me to continue to grow and try new things and do new things. And so, at some point, will that change? Maybe. And if they listen up, TechSmith, if you change too much on me, that, who knows? So look.
I have this answer, but I also want to mention to close the loop for something in the very beginning of this call. Yeah. I'm not sponsored. I'm not sponsored by anyone. So I'm not sponsored by TechSmith or anybody, and I want to stay this way. I'm sponsored by my members. So they pay me to be in the membership, and this is to stay unbiased. However, as soon as I like a tool, for example, like Snagit, and now you can call me out that I'm sponsored again, but I negotiate discounts with the tools that I like, and we also have discounts for Snagit and Camtasia inside the membership, exclusive for the members. And I'm happy. Thank you very much, TechSmith, for giving me these discounts. I'm not getting a commission for this one inside the membership. So as soon as you're in and use these links, I don't get anything that you use this. If you watch the videos, you see my explanation why I use these tools. So yeah. And I can confirm, Matt, whoever I met so far on TechSmith, I really love you guys' attitude. It is fun talking to you guys. So I can understand why you're still there.
Well, Tom, it has been a pleasure to talk with you. I love your stories. I'm a fan of the videos and trying to learn all I can about all the different things that hopefully I'll someday have a system as well that I'll talk to you about. Not right now.
We hope this, yeah.
But Tom, thank you so much once again. We sure appreciate you guys. Go check out Tom's stuff. Go check out his videos. They are really good. If you're interested in any of this stuff, Tom, we will talk with you later. So before I leave, because I messed up earlier at the beginning, if you're still with us, let me just play this quick video here because we've got a really great opportunity. If you haven't purchased TechSmith products yet, here's your opportunity. Hey everybody, it is the biggest sale of the year for TechSmith. You don't want to miss it. Coming up on November 29th and November 30th, you're going to find great discounts on all the TechSmith products. It's only available online, so you'll want to check it out. Don't miss it, November 29th and November 30th. Yes, that's right, Cyber Monday. All right, we got some really great opportunities coming up on those sales. Check on your email, check the website. You'll see them coming up soon with more details. But with that said, whatever you're doing, whether you're trying to use images, video, you're just trying to get better at your workplace productivity, there's so many things you can learn to do better. We just encourage you, take a little time every single day to get a little bit better and to level up. We will see you guys. We got another great guest. If you like comic books, do you like Deadpool? Because we've got Buddy Scalera next week. He wrote Deadpool comics, and he's going to be talking to us about videos, storytelling, and more. So we'll see you all next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. If you liked anything, don't forget you can always email us at The Visual Lounge.